Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is another in my Red Hat Certified Specialist in Identity Management Exam EX362 Practice Session series. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching, if you haven't subscribed, to click that subscribe button and ring the bell when you do, so you know when new content is available. Also, a reminder that these are my practice sessions for the exam. My exam's just over 3 weeks away, and I'm going through all of the posted objectives from Red Hat, and I will either explain whatever the concept is the objective is looking for, or I will do some exercises and such to practice the objective. And at the end of the video, I'll do a little assessment, and hopefully I'll feel confident with whatever the objective is. And if not, I still have a little bit of time left to shore up some knowledge gaps. That being said, these should not be considered tutorials, nor should they be considered authoritative information. I do try to have the information accurate, because hopefully at this point in my exam preparation I haven't learned anything wrong, but I'm learning right along with you, so I would not consider these to be tutorial materials or any other type of training material. The reason I put these out on the internet is in hopes of some of you might be preparing for this exam, and some of the things that I do to practice might give you some ideas of things that you can do to practice as well. So in this video, I'm going to continue with the install and configure Red Hat Identity Management set of objectives, and returning to the install and configure a replica IdM server. In a previous practice session, I actually installed the replica IdM server. Both, I think I did it via script, so the CLI commands with the unattended option, and then also used Ansible for that. So for this practice session, I want to talk about replication. So let me go into the IdM server GUI. And within the GUI, you can go to IPA server. It'll show, well, this role-based access control. That'll be something we look at another time. If I go to topology, you'll see all of our IPA servers, and we have 3 of them. We have the original IdM server, and then we have 2 replicas. Effectively, they're all the same, the same server for all intents and purposes. If I click topology graph, we'll see that, it's kind of an odd way that is, there it goes, it's settled. We see that we have replication segments between both the replica servers and the IdM server itself. There are 2 what are called replica, or I think topology suffix is the correct term. And you have CA and domain. CA is specific to the certificate authority. Domain, however, is everything else. DNS, LDAP, all of the other bits and pieces of IdM are a part of that replication. So in this configuration here, while this, hey, we're replicating from the replicas to the IdM server, there is no replication available between the 2 replica servers themselves. They're just replicating to IdM. So therefore, if IdM goes offline, you're going to have a problem, because the 2 replicas are not going to stay in sync. So to be able to create the replication agreement, and there's a specific term for it that is escaping me at the moment. I know maybe replication agreement is the correct term, but basically what we're going to do is create a topology segment between these 2, and there's 2 ways I know of doing it. One is through the GUI, and we'll do that here. So if I wanted to replicate replica 2 to replica 1, and I wanted to do the CA suffix for that, I would simply click the plus sign with the CA suffix, drag the arrow to replica 1, click replica 1. We have to give the segment a name, and this, I'll just say replica 2 to replica 1 CA. And that's the topology suffix. Left and right node really doesn't matter. It's more of a labeling kind of thing, because this is going to be bidirectional replication of data between the 2. So instead of click add and add another, we can click add and edit and see what else we can change. Okay, so we really can't change the left and right node. I guess we can specifically give it attributes that it wants to replicate. Yeah, I was right. Replication agreement is the term. I can't imagine that's what we would want to change here. I'm sure there's more advanced configurations where, let's say you have many replicas and you replicate some stuff to some and some to another. I'm not quite sure the functional use of that, since the idea behind replicas is you're trying to make your IdM services highly available. Go back to IPA server and topology again. And so if I wanted to replicate the domain suffix and I wanted to do that via the command line, there's a couple ways of doing this. For this, I'm going to SSH into we'll do it into replica 1. Doesn't matter which one you go into. I'm going to get myself a token for the administrator account, or ticket, I should say. Oh, let me use the correct password. Forgot we set this to monkey123. All right, and to do this, we're going to use the IPA command and the topology segment subcommands. So topology segment add is what we're going to be doing. As always, you can do -- help, and you will probably find that useful on your exam, if you're not drilling these day in and day out, to make sure that you have all of your different options. For me, for my own preparation, some of this stuff I do drill. I don't focus on trying to memorize things. It's more of I know that I'm going to have to specify the left node, the right node. I know I'm going to have to specify the topology suffix, and I know that I'm going to have to specify a name. I might not remember the exact syntax, but knowing how to use it, I think, is more important than having the syntax memorized. Now, of course, if you do use -- help in the built-in documentation, that takes time for your exam, so you have to be mindful of management. And I don't think if I were to go into the exam having no experience using these commands and solely relying on built-in documentation to figure stuff out, that's probably not going to work for the exam because I'll run out of time. But knowing about the command and using this for getting your exact syntax right, I think is both appropriate and sort of by design. So topology segment, I'm trying to use tab completion here. Add, and the suffix that we're going to be doing for this one is domain, and we're going to name this replica 1 to replica 2 domain. All right, and left node has equals string, but I've noticed that we can do just space and then whatever. I think you do have to use fully qualified domain name for this. Let's try it without, just to see what happens. And I encourage you to do this kind of stuff when you practice. See if you can invoke some errors, because that might help you if, let's say, that there is some type of troubleshooting thing and the issue is something is misnamed. Well, if you see what the error looks like when you do something wrong intentionally, that might help you on the exam, because you'll encounter that error again and remember, oh, this is what I did when I saw the error myself. We're going to try just using the host name. I don't think that's going to work, but let's see what happens. Yeah, we have to use the fully qualified domain name, which is fine. IdM egslab.com. We'll add the same here. All right, and it made the segment. We can do IPA topology segment find. Of course, I probably segment find, suffix name, domain, and we see we have 3 segments. These 2 were created when we created or configured the replication server, and then this is the one that we just made. And if I do CA, it should return 3 as well. If I go back to the GUI and click refresh, we now see that has changed, and so all 3 are replicating all of the suffixes. Now, there is some fail-safe kind of built into this, and for example, let's try to get rid of some of our segments here. So we're going to do IPA topology segment del, and we'll do the CA one. We're going to get rid of the lab IdM replica to idm.ejs lab.com to lab-idm server.idm.ejs lab.com. Okay, so that one was successfully deleted, and we see that its leg has gone. And let's see if we can get rid of, I'm going to be lazy this time and copy paste this one. Now this I think might fail because of some of the CA pieces, in particular like renewals and such. It's not a good technical definition of why it would fail, but I think I've seen an error like this before. Oh, segment name. Wait. Oh, I see what I did wrong. First is expecting the suffix and then segment name. Yeah, so it's not. So the one we were trying to get rid of is this here, and it's not going to allow it because then we'll only have replication in one way. I believe we can get rid of this one though. Let's try that with the GUI and see what happens. Nope, so it won't let that happen either. Okay, cool, good to know. And that's part of a fail-safe theme because, you know, Red Hat does not want you to have like an invalid topology. So we'll add back this one here. I'll just give it a silly little name. All right, a couple of other things I want to talk about with replicas. I think I misspoke when I was doing the installation. I said you have to run the installation command to make something a hidden replica, but that is not the case. That is not the right command to use. What I can do here, if I were to dig, do plus null plus answer. I think you can do plus short as well, or just plus short, and that'll give us what I want. Type srv. We're going to look up, see if I can remember the syntax for this. LDAP, TCP, IdM, EJS lab.com. Okay, and we see that there are three possibilities for the service record LDAP. And if I remember correctly, I know this is the TCP port. This is, I think, the weight. So these are all equal weight. And I think this is a priority column, if I remember off the top of my head. And I can do the same thing for Kerberos. And we see all of these here. Now, if I wanted to make one of the replicas a hidden replica, I can do IPA server state, and we put in the name of the IDM server. We're going to make number 1 a hidden replica. So IDM replica 1, IDM EJS lab.com. I think we do state hidden. Okay, so we changed the, well, I guess I did number 2 instead of number 1. If I do an IPA server find, it's still going to show this as one of our IPA servers. If I were to do IPA server show, we see that it has no enabled server roles. If I were to look at number 1, we see that it has the enabled server roles. And then if I were to do that DNS query again, what we're going to see is, we can do the one for LDAP. We see that there is no more replica 2 for these things. So therefore it's still in the topology, and it still is getting the data and such replicated to it, but clients are not going to be able to access it. And again, later on, when I do some practice sessions for backup and restore, that will be how we are able to do a backup of all the IDM stuff and not actually have to bring services offline. I guess technically this hidden replica is sort of offline, but you know, the clients are none the wiser for that. Now, I guess we have a client that was configured explicitly to only talk to that replica, like for SSSD, then yeah, that would cause a problem. But generally that's not the case. And so let us re-enable this IPA server state lab IdM replica 2, idm.ejslab.com, state enabled. If I were to, I'm being a little bit lazy. I'm just using the up arrow to look at stuff. We see it has the enabled server roles again, and for DNS, we see the DNS service records are back for the lab replica 2. One thing I found when I was doing some of my initial training and trying to read documentation and such, a question I have is, all right, so how often does stuff replicate between the replicas, which, really all of them are replicas? And it was difficult to get an answer to that. I know in the AD world, like if you're getting certifications and such, that's one of the things you have to memorize, how often the replication takes place. And digging into some of the actual directory server documentation from Red Hat, it seems like the default is an hour, but I'm not sure if that's 100% true, because we're checking DNS records and such, and that was fairly instantaneous. One thing, and I guess I can do this on this replica 1, you can install, I think the package is IPA health check. Maybe it helps if I say DNF install. Often I don't do -y because I like seeing everything that's going to come in, but this health check command, I think you usually get JSON output from it. But there are a number of sources. Oh yeah, I got to be root for this. There are a number of different things that you can pull from this. One of the things you can run is IPA health check list sources. And these are all the different things for which you can get data. So let's see if there's anything about replication. I believe there is. Let's see, PKI stuff. Dog tag deals with your, here we go, replication. Let's see what this gives us here. Copy that, clear my screen, IPA health check. I think I can just feed it this and it'll give us, no. That's what I figured. All right, so we'll do -- source. I think we need to do -- all as well. This isn't a command that I have done very often, but it looks like things are successful. Pretty terrible for that. There's one other thing that I did want to mention, and I might have to, let me get another ticket since I've logged in as another user. And let's run this again, see if I get different information now that I have a Kerberos ticket. No, it's the same. So I'm not exactly sure what that's telling me, but that'll be something good for me to look at between now and the exam, just to have that in mind. I might make myself some troubleshooting scenarios and like break things, and then run IPA health check to see how stuff looks different. Another command I wanted to show, I think it's one of the topology commands. Yeah, reinitialize. And I think this is something that might occur in the backup restore scenario. I'll be testing that in a few practice sessions. But the topology segment reinitialize, if replication is broken, that's a way to fix that. I did want to look at suffix verify, see what that shows us. Oh, it just tells us that replication is in order. Do -- help. And this I've also found useful just with your own study and such, is just dig through the commands and see what help shows you for that, because it's not something that you're going to memorize, but it's something that might stick kind of in the back of your head, that when you're on the exam and you're having to troubleshoot something, it can come back to you. So this is check servers don't have more than the recommended number. Yeah, that would make sense. And let's look at reinitialize. Yeah, you would pick the suffix and then whatever segment name, and it would basically try to reestablish that replication. All right, so for the objective, I think I'm pretty much set with installing and configuring replica IdM server. What I didn't practice was like adding after the fact the DNS features and CA features to a replica server. I might do another practice session with that and record it. Otherwise, it'll just be a part of my preparation in the final amount of time before the exam, but I think for the objective, I'm pretty well set with this. I do want to do some individual practice on the health check command just to become a bit more familiar with it. But I believe if I was asked on the exam to install a replica server and do basic configuration, that would not be a problem. So I hope you found the video useful. If you did, make sure you do click like. I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video and encourage you, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click the subscribe button and ring the bell when you do. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.